Alright, welcome back to another Art of War 3 replay. I'm your host, JEONG SINAH, and today we're going to be doing a clan 2v2 battle here. I'm going to be the green Confederate player, and my ally kinezul will be the blue Confederate player. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to be facing off against two very strong rank camping resistance players from the Karatelu clan. And we can see we've got some exciting action already unfolding on the battlefield here. kinezul trying to fight for those early game resources on the water. Red has been very fast on the water with the Caimans there. But kinezul is going to be able to deny those Caimans. We can see those torpedo platforms are still under construction. The animation is a little bit off. But kinezul's double delta production has been able to suppress those Caimans. So in the meantime, I'm going to continue to develop my base. I'm HQ3 already at this point, dropping a few more supply centers down now. My plan is to ignore the water completely and go for a full ground army build, while kinezul goes for the full aviation build. So we can see kinezul already teching up towards HQ4. Meanwhile, I'm just starting to get some units onto the battlefield. I've got a Cyclone to get a scout onto yellow. Let's see what yellow's up to. And we can see that yellow has teched up. They were upgrading to HQ4 at the time I scouted them, so we were expecting for some JCP to be produced by the yellow player. So we can see that kinezul is getting those upgrades onto those Avia factories just so we can get some Thors out. Meanwhile, here comes some Gators from the yellow player. So we can see that yellow is now trying to harass me with those Gators. You can see kinezul collecting some resources there. So my plan is to move my base away from the water. I'm going to let yellow destroy these admin buildings, and then I'm going to use a gold reconstruction boost to rebuild them at the top of the map. Now this is to allow me to get my economy going quickly. It's a little bit of a risk because if I lose admin buildings later on in the battle, I won't be able to replace them as quickly. So we can see I'm taking fire now onto a barracks there from the Gator. I'm probably going to lose the barracks there. We can see kinezul now getting a scout onto the red player. Red is already HQ4 at this time as well. We can see some units from the red player. So kinezul is going to go ahead and flag that headquarters just so I'm aware of it. And we can see I'm probably going to lose this other barracks as well. And we can see that my plan for my admin buildings is working out well. I'm able to move my buildings over. I'm going to lose this other barracks though, so I'm down all of my barracks. And look at this, we see a prototype factory being upgraded by the red player. So we can see that red is probably going to go for a Leviathan. So here we go. kinezul getting a scout with that vertex. Let's see what he uncovers. And we can see that yellow has a full base developed. And as we suspected, yellow is going to go for that JCP build. So I'm trying to just produce units here. My special vehicle factory is far enough from the water that the Gators cannot hit it. And we can see kinezul just patrolling the map with those vertex. And we can see that we're just continuing to produce units and get our army count up. So kinezul doing a good job just keeping those vertex moving. Gonna score a nice hit on the Cayman there, clean it up, and it's going to retreat. In the meantime, I'm just continuing to reproduce my army here. I've got a pretty big army. Almost got full command points for HQ4 for my upgrades. My plan is to go for a mix of Zeus, fire assaults, and a shield generator to support. You can see that kinezul is harassing those infantry, trying to capture that resource container. So it looks like he's trying to see if he can take that resource container in a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and let kinezul know that I am almost full command points at this time, and kinezul knows that I'm almost full. At this point we have to decide now who we're going to hit. So we can see that kinezul now moving infantry onto the container once again, trying to capture it. We can see that Thors are coming in. They score a nice hit onto the red player. Red is already HQ5 at this time. We see a Leviathan out on the battlefield. So we can see now red is trying to fight kinezul on the ground for that resource container to get those extra resources. But kinezul doing a great job just cleaning up all of these grenadiers, making it very costly to capture that resource container. So I'm asking kinezul if I should hit the red player or the yellow player first. and we can see that I'm going to have to make an executive decision at some point. Kinezul tells me to make a decision, so my plan is to commit to yellow. So I'm moving my troops, and we can see that yellow has come in with a full JCP army. So I'm going to move my army away. In retrospect, I think this was a mistake. I should have moved my army into the crossroads to intercept the JCP, but my original plan was to force fire from the side. So here we go. This is my plan coming into action, force firing on that fog. I get some hits, but it's not enough. Kinezul coming in with the Thors there, cleans up half of the army really nicely. Half the army has made it into my base though. Meanwhile, Dragonfly is moving on to those Vikings for Kinezul, but this JCP army is now inside my base and starting to dish out damage. I'm going to throw on a gold common defense boost, and we can see that there's a fair amount of Jaguars on the inside of my base trying to take out that airfield. Kinezul is trying to finish off the Jaguar tanks, trying to see if he can save the airfield. They're going to lose my level 3 special vehicle factory there. We can see that the Chameleon has run out of fog though. Those Jaguar tanks are now exposed to the Vertex, and the Vertex are dishing heavy damage. Meanwhile, Red's now moving in with mass Dragonflies and that Leviathan, so we may be attacked from two sides here. So Yellow's trying to continue to move their troops around my base here. So now I'm giving chase. I've got some fire assaults, hammer tanks, and a shield generator in the picture. Kinezul is trying to send reinforcements as well. And here we go. Here comes the red player with the Dragonflies. And the Dragonflies are going to start to attack that rocket tower. So we're going to need to regroup soon and move to the top of the map there. We can see that yellow is only down to 2 Jaguar tanks. This is not looking good for the yellow player's initial attack. But red's coming in now with those reinforcements. Those Dragonflies raining steady fire onto the airfield. So here comes the Leviathan though. We need to be careful of that tactical nuke from the Leviathan. Leviathan now moving in to dish out damage as well. Kinezul is now trying to get anti-air towers out to help defend the base, and now moving some Cyclones onto the Dragonflies and the Leviathan. Looks like I'm going to throw on a gold common defense boost to defend the side of my base there. Red's now moving onto some of my production structures. We see some porcupines in the mix along with some infantry. And here we go. Tactical nuke about to launch from the Leviathan. And here comes the nuke. I throw in a gold air raid boost. It's going to minimize that damage, but it's still a decent amount of damage. I've still got a couple Typhoons in the area. It is going to buy me enough time to get my full ground army into position. That Leviathan is now heavily damaged, and red's attack is losing momentum pretty quickly here. So shield generator here is going to activate. It's going to cover my fire assaults, and now red is going to retreat. They just do not have enough troops to keep pushing. So with that, we've been able to successfully defend the attack, and not only defend the attack successfully, but I have a lot of resources to spare, and I have almost full command points, which puts me in a really nice position to launch a counterattack pretty soon here. I'm also teching up to HQ5 just so I can have max command points. Kinezul is going to attack with the Thors. Let's see where the Thors go. And they're going straight for the factories. And looks like that level 3 special vehicle factory is going to go down. That level 3 assault vehicle factory is very heavily damaged. So I'm going to move to point D on the mini-map there to launch an attack on yellow's base from the top. So Kinezul is going to flag the bottom of our base and tell us that we need to defend it. We can see these Vertex getting a scout onto the yellow player. Yellow's troops are now trying to move onto that resource container. There's only a couple Porcupines to cover that army though, so here come the Thors. A couple Porcupines is not going to be enough. And let's see if the Thors score a hit or not. And they score a direct hit onto the army. Yellow's army gets absolutely crushed by those Thors. Fog is going to activate, but that fog is no use at this point. It is only covering a small portion of Yellow's army. We can see I've also dropped a few rocket towers and defensive buildings at the front of the base just to help with defending. We've got a few units as well, and that's just going to help us with staving off this counterattack with the JCP. JCP is now trying to move onto the base, but I don't think they'll be able to. We got bunkers and rocket towers to buy time. We also have plenty of units. We just need to hold them off long enough for my ground army to attack the yellow player. And we can see that red is now coming in again, launching another attack here with those dragonflies. We're going to throw in a gold common defense boost to defend the front of our entrance here. So I'm covering the front of the base while kinezul is covering the left side of the base. This fog trying to move in on the army. Some of those jaguar tanks are outside of the chameleon fog and they're getting shredded by my rocket towers. Meanwhile, Vertex coming in to defend this side of the base. We see the Leviathan, Grenadiers, and Porcupines in play from the red player. And now my army is moving on to the yellow player. So a lot of action unfolding on the battlefield here. kinezul scoring some hits onto the fog there with the Thors, and we can see that most of yellow's army has been taken out. We can also see that red is struggling to try and break through. kinezul doing a great job defending. My full ground army has arrived at the yellow player's base. Yellow is now under huge pressure. Yellow does not have enough ground troops to stop my army, and this is a full Zeus shield army at the doorstep of yellow. Red trying to punch through with those Grenadiers, but Grenadiers and Porcupines alone is not going to be enough. kinezul has the air supremacy in the area, is raining fire with the Vertex. Meanwhile, my ground troops are just slugging it out, and yellow is rapidly losing their base here. These Gators are trying to come in and help defend, but I've got a couple Zeus tanks to keep the Gators busy while my majority of the army dishes out the damage. Red slowly trying to make progress onto our bases here, but this number of Grenadiers and Porcupines is just not going to cut it. Here come the Thors from kinezul, and they shred a huge amount of red's base there. And we can see that yellow is self-destructing at this point, and it looks like yellow is going to throw in the towel. So, this point is now turned into a 1v2 here. Red still trying to send units over, Grenadiers and Porcupines, but it's really not just going to cut it at this point. And we can see that kinezul is actually telling me to fall back. So at this point, we're probably going to shift over to attempting to do contracts with our remaining time. So it's pretty much good game at this point. Hope you all enjoyed this action-packed battle. We will see you in the next battle. Good luck with your battles.